Hello everyone, Ceri the Crafter here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and today we're here with sort of a product review, sort of a product find and a project to try and use them. So let's move that out of the way. Now, before I do anything else, let's look at what I'm talking about. So, where am I? It's this. Okay, I'm going to open that one. It's this product. Now, I'm hoping this will focus on this. I found these on Amazon, they're Brad's, and that's the website www.artemio.be. Okay, so, but I did find them on Amazon, and all I did was I put in Brad's, B-R-A-D-S, Brad's. You could put in split pins, but you tend to end up with office supplies. So I ordered two of them because I absolutely love them, so that's the unopened one. Let's see, I want to open these up and show you what these look like for a start. Okay, now my fingers are a bit big and I can't find my scissors anywhere, so my tweezers anywhere, so I'm going to use the end of a scissors. So there's little tiny brads, little split pins, tiny, and they come in silver, copper, sort of a goldy colour and a sort of pewter colour. And the reason I was excited about these is these fit through, if my fingers aren't too big, a hole in a book plate. And one of the colours of these is actually, let's see if I can pull it out with the scissors. I'm really struggling. After I've done this video, I'm going to decant these into a box so I can actually do it. But as you can see, it's the same colour as a book plate. So there is that in there. So there's 4 sets of those in there. So I'll put that back in the right one so I know where it is. And then the other ones I was really excited. Again, there's pewter, sort of an antique gold, sort of a coppery ish sort of colour, and the silver. But what I like about these, I might be able to pull these out with my fingers. Yes, I can. Yeah, got 2 of them. They actually have screw head on them, so they're not got a very long split pin behind them, which I love, but they've got a Phillips screwdriver and a flathead screwdriver appearance to the top of them, so that I could actually use them for steampunk, industry, whatever. I thought that's really cute, so I absolutely love those. So we're going to try and make something with those. I've thrown together a few things. As with everything I do, I'm doing it on the screen and live, so we'll just see where we go with this. So anyway, those are what we're going to be using. Other things I've got is glue sticks, I've got art glitter glue, I've got the general stuff. So I'm going to make myself a large journal card. So this is from, I want to say this is a wallpaper pack by Tim Holtz that I'm going to be using as my thing, because I want to go that really like grungy backgroundy sort of colour thing. Now, because there's going to be things going through this, I've cut myself another piece of card that could be written on to go on the back of this, because this isn't very strong anyway, and I would have backed it anyway, but this way any of the backs of the split pins would also be covered. So we're going to put that to one side at the moment. Now, I thought, right, let's think about what we're going to do here. So I dug through the stuff I had and I came up with something I really like, which is this dragonfly, and it's embossed on with bronze embossing ink, and it's from this stamp set by Visible Image, and you know how much I like them, and it's from there. And I thought, you know what, that's going to work quite well with the whole metallic type thing I want to do on this. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to put some edging on here. I have vintage photoed, and I've gone on with some, I think it's called Sea Breeze. I can't remember the name of the green. It was not Sea Breeze, Seafair. Yes, Seafarer. It's an archival, but it's sort of this turquoisey colour and teal colour, which is what I wanted to pull out the background. But I was going to sew this on. I thought, wait a minute, you're always sewing stuff on, but what if you don't have a sewing machine? So we're going to show you how I would actually do this without a sewing machine. So let's just pull in the glue book. Pull that bit out of the way. Let's move our base to the background. So I'm going to be doing faux stitching, or stitching that basically I'm putting on here, but it isn't real stitching. There are 2 stitching stamps I use. One is, the red one is by Stamperia. This one, and thank you to the subscriber who actually let me know, because I didn't know who it was by, the clear stamp stitches, which are the ones you're seeing here, are by Gabrielle Poloco, and it's called Line Stitch Stamps, and it was originally sold by 49 and Market, and I think they're on Etsy, not 100% certain, so at last I know where that comes from. So I'm going to use black archival for this. Now, when I do the stitching, I don't want the stitching to run off the sides. I want it to look like I took a corner, if that makes sense to anyone. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to put a post-it note just a millimetre or two above the bottom edge and about a millimetre or two above the top edge. We're looking for random, we're not looking for perfect. I put the stamp onto an acrylic block just so that I don't get my fingers any more messy than they already are. And my fingers are always messy, I do apologise, but you know what, I'm creating stuff. And I'm going to come in and stamp. Now what that's done is obviously it's made my stamping finish at those edges. So now I'm going to come in, I'm going to use my same bit of whatever this is called, sticky note, and I'm going to line it up so that it will make sense if the stitch starts there. So again, coming, this time I'm going to use a different section of the stamp block. So I've got a different type of stamp. Now again, I know this is a bit laborious if you've done this before yourself, but there are people out there who may not know how to do this. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to put my post-it notes down there, take my block again and choose maybe that section of it this time and stamp. Now obviously you've got a sewing machine, it's far quicker to do, well it's not quicker probably, it's far easier to get the effect you're looking for. However, not everyone has a sewing machine and I really understand that. And if you don't have stamps, you can always go in with a fine line marker and actually just draw in some faux stitches if that's the look you're going for. So I'll put that one across there. Right, so that's given me a nice rough and rugged look. Let's just stamp that off. So I'm put the lid on my stamp block because I'm notorious for putting my hands into stuff like that. Let's move that to one side. Right, so in this comes again. This is going to go, do I want it central? Maybe I do want it central. Right, let's pull in my glue book. I'm just going to go in and stick this down with glue stick. We're going to be adding other elements to this. I want to try and avoid going too close to the edges with anything because I'm going to put the brads in the corners, the ones with the screw head look to them, so I need to make sure I don't go too close to that. Now I'm going to try and centralise. I'm going to need to pick it up for me to look at. I apologise, but looking through an iPad is not the easiest thing. I'm going to offset it just ever so slightly and just smooth it down. Okay, then I've got another bit I want to put on here. Now, it's very squarey to me at the moment, if that makes sense to anybody. So I want to add a little bit more of interest to this. This is part of a digital by Gail Augustinelli. I use it a lot. You've probably seen me use it before. I've printed it onto coffee dye paper because I like the way it looks on coffee dye paper, but it's a very useful one, and I want to put that across there. I'm going to come in with a bit of vintage photo at this point and just catch the edges. So, and I'm just doing this so that I've got, it's not the sort of big journal card I would have in my stash. So you know what, there's no reason why I shouldn't make it, because then that gives me, maybe there's going to be an opportunity to use it in the future. So again, I'm just coming in with my glue stick, coming across here. Am I worried that I'm going across the stitches? Heck no, doesn't matter. It's my art, my way, as I keep saying. So there you go. So I've got that down there. Now I did want to put some extra details in. Sound of ripping, always a fabulous thing to do. I've got some Tracy Fox labels, and I really did like that one. I want to say that it comes from her Field Notes collection, but if you go to Tracy Fox on Etsy or look at Love Junk Journals, you will find these, and they're a digital kit, and again, use it all the time. In fact, I've used it so much I need to reprint this one because I just use it too much. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to put a bit of a jaunty angle there, try not to touch it too much with my gluey fingers. So there you go. I also like to put double labels on things, so I'm going to take this teeny one, which is also in the kit. Let's see if I can do this and then get it off the glue stick. Always a bit of a challenge for me. Put you down. I'm going to put that in straight, or straight as it is when I do it. That's the curse of varifocals, isn't it? I never quite know. Now I've got plans for here and I've got plans for around the edges, so we're fine there. There's one more thing I wanted to do. I like including little strips of numbers, and where I get these numbers from is if I'm gutting a book or taking a book to pieces and there's numbers like these were probably part of a mathematical equation somewhere, or they were on the index of a book, I will very often just cut them off and use them. So I'm going to come in, put a little bit up in this corner just to give me something to balance up with. Press down on my palm. I want to give that a little bit more of a grunge. There you go. So that's got this sorted so far. Now let's take a look at what else I'm going to do to this and how I'm going to do it. Now I want to put into here a book plate. And I want to put that on there. Now I don't normally put hardware like this onto a journal card, but I like the idea of this one on there. I like it about there actually. Right, I'm going to pull in, maybe I've got a white pen. Is this one working? Yes it is. I'm going to hold it in place, trying to make sure it's all lined up with the bottom. And I'm going to put a white dot in there and a white dot in there. And if it's not straight, forgive me. As I said, I'm working through an iPad lens and I'm not looking directly down on it, so I'm hoping that's straight. I'm then going to bring in the book that I use for bookbinding and the sharp pokey tool I use for it as well, and I'm going to pierce these through. And I'm going to use the smaller brads on this one. Now I'm actually going to stick down the nameplate anyway, but I like the aesthetic of that being there. So I now need to pull in the ones that matched. Come on, I do not like this container, I must admit. I'm scared if I let go of the back bit, it's going to absolutely fly all over the place. So I think that was the colour. Yes, it was. As I said, excuse the fingers, but the scissors, but my fingers are just too big for this. I'm going to use some art glitter glue on this, because I'm sure this will stick it and hold it in place long enough. I'm just going to put this around here and around there. Hopefully I'm in camera for all of this. Now I'm going to have to hold this up so I can see. I need to line this up with the holes that I made, just so that I know that they're in place. It'll take seconds to dry. It would if I didn't move it around. There you go. Actually, what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to just drop the split pins through the holes now. This is the curse of having big guy hands. There you go, that's that one in. Just to hold everything in place. Let's see if I can do this one on the other side. There you go. Right, I'm going to let that sit for a second or two, just while I clear the decks a little bit. So I know I'm going to split pin the back open anyway. I just wanted to make sure that things were held in place. I'm going to turn this over totally. Now I'm going to come in now. This is a bit like a sticky label for me. Can I actually get both sides off? I can. There you go. So, as I said, I'm only struggling, guys, because I have big hands. And big hands make big work of everything. So there you go. So I put that on there. I like that. I do want to put some sort of label into it. Now, as I said, I've used a lot of Tracy Fox's labels, so I'm sort of kind of running low, and I fancied putting that in there, so I'm going to try and cut this down a bit and see if I can get it so that the word specimen goes into here. So I'm just going to cut under the word detail, and that's the joy of having a digital, because it does mean you can print it out as many times as you like. Well, if I wasn't lucky before, I certainly am now. That's absolutely perfectly exactly where I wanted it. So I'm going to come in. Sorry if my arm is in the way. I'm going to put a bit of art glitter glue in here, because once this is in place, I don't want the label moving around. I want it to be nice and solidly in there. So let's slide you in there. I know you fit because you just did. Make sure it's in place and as straight as I can get it. I'm liking that so far. So that's a lovely addition to that. Now I want to go around the edge. Now this is where I need to make a decision. Do I want to actually put the stitching around the edge? Probably not. It's not something I had planned. And it's just popped into my mind now, but I think I need to not do that. My next job, however, is to put the faux screws around the edge. So looking at the colours in here, I'm quite liking this coppery type colour here. Purely because I like the warmth of it. See that sort of colour? I need to make sure I've got all the same though. So do I do screw top or do I do flathead? I think I quite like the flathead ones. Let's put those to one side. It's going to be a case of digging through all these. If I haven't got 4 of these, I'm going to be very angry. So there you go, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's put the others in. I can't wait to put these in the tin because this container is driving me nuts. Please, people who manufacture stuff, remember there's people with hands this big trying to cope with stuff that small. End of my moan. Okay, now I need to remember there is actually a pin piece that needs to be folded open. So when I put these in, I can't put them right on the edge. I need to come in a little bit. So I'm just, for my own peace of mind, going to use a pen and I'm going to come in hopefully the same distance on each of them. I'm not really measuring anything. I'm just giving myself a bit of an eyeball. I could come in if I really do it wrong and probably snip the end off, which if I really get stuck in doing this, I will do. But it isn't necessarily if you do a little bit of measuring first. So again, I'm going to pull in my book. Now you could, if you've got one of those nice crocodile things, actually use a crocodile thing to make your hole punch, your holes. I don't have one of those. I'm doing it old school. So that goes through there. Yeah, I have looked at those crocodile things, but for the amount of times I actually use grommets or eyelets, it's just expensive for how much I would use it. And I do use my hole punches, and I do use other things to do grommets, but for me, that's just a bit of a stretch. You never know, Santa may bring me one. I'm going to bring this one in a little bit further because I think that's a little bit close to the edge. You never know, Santa may bring me one because Santa kind of knows I want one. So there you go. Right, do I need to glue these in? I would say no, because obviously these are going through and then the pin is being opened at the back. So I'm just going to come in, slot that one in and that one in. I'm not worried that all the screws are facing in the same direction. Even I'm not going to get that picky about it. Turn this over and then I'm going to open these up. So you can see what I mean by the fact that you need to have room for the legs of it, if you want to call them legs, to have room to actually splay out. Just a consideration when you're planning things like this. Just try to push this down. Now, there's another reason why I chose to put cardstock on the back of these instead of coffee dyed paper, and that's because each of these is going to leave, how do I word this, an imprint or a mark on the whatever you stick on the back. So I'm loving, upside down Griffiths, I'm loving that so far. I will distress the edges with some ink after I've finished this, but I now want to glue everything together. Now, around the edges is going to be important, so I'm going to use art glitter glue. However, in the middle is not going to be that important because it's going to be held in place by everything else. So I'm just going to use, excuse the tearing, I'm going to use glue stick to put this on. I can't remember where this came, or I can remember where it came from, but I have no name. I did an Etsy order, and the kind people on the Etsy order actually sent me a thank you gift, which was part of a 6x6 pad, and this is what this was part of. So there was no labelling, no nothing, so I don't actually know what kit it is. But whatever it is, thank you very much. I'm going to come in and I'm going to put my art glitter glue along the edges of this. Am I still in shot? I keep forgetting to look to see whether I'm in shot. I'm just focused on what I'm doing, but not necessarily where I'm doing it. You could put some tape over the back of these if you wished. I'm quite alright with the way they are. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to lay this over the top and then spend a few seconds just lining things up. Doesn't mean I can't trim it later, but if I've already cut it to size, I'd like to get it right the first time. So just run my fingers around there. Let's get this out of the way because it doesn't need to be around. This doesn't need to be around. I'm just going to use my knuckles to push this down, get this all nicely together. If you do have bits that lift up, just pinch them together, or what you can do is you can get yourself a little clip or a little clamp. I like these little baby bulldog clips. You can get them in most stationery stores, I would say around the world. I'm not going to just say they're definitely everywhere on the planet, but I've seen them in lots of places, and believe me, I travel a lot. Well, I used to travel a lot until the virus decided otherwise. So let's just pop. Come on, in you go. There you go. So I'm going to give that a second while I just decide what do I actually want to do around the edges. Vintage photo is probably going to be my choice because it's on the desk. I could potentially do it with archival black. That would be another option. There are things I could potentially do, like splatters across this. Things I mean, we've tried to do a quick journaling card, guys, so bear with me. There's other things you could do too, like there's some washi tapes you could quite easily put on here, but I think as a quick project, and we've already been at this like 22 minutes now, but we've discussed stuff and played with stuff, so I think we're okay to go ahead. I'm going to take these off because it is art glitter glue, and in a few seconds it will have gripped anyway. So I could go in around the corners if I wanted, but I actually quite like the sharpness of those corners on this project. So just going to come in. I think I'm warming up for a new vintage photo pad. My vintage photo pad is beginning to get tired, should we say. And I'm not a great lover of the refill bottle thing. I don't seem to get that right. So as far as I'm concerned, I just buy a new pad. I do keep the old one, however, because if I'm doing anything with water techniques, if I spray water on it, I then can use that. Let's put a bit of that in there just to bring the orangeness of the back into the foreground. I'm looking at this thinking it needs something. Or am I just scared of open spaces? Let's have a little bit of a look and see what we've got. I mean, I could put another bit of the paper in. I'm thinking possibly a rubber stamp. I know a postage stamp. I know I don't have any postage stamps with dragonflies on. So let's see if I've got one that's just something. Right. I mean, I've definitely got ones with butterflies, but it's not a butterfly sort of feel to it. Let's see if I've got some florals here, and I'm looking at this little one from New Zealand down here, and it's the right colour scheme. No, the stamp is wrong. It's not a stamp that needs. I don't know that it needs a label. Let me have a quick look at Tracy's labels. Maybe there's a label that's jumping out. They don't come in this. This is just it once held Band-Aids, to believe it or not, or things like that. Could I put that there? Seems very label heavy if I put a label on it. Yeah, there's too many labels. I don't need a label. Maybe I need a word. Sorry, this is my tin of words. I sort of snip stuff, stamp stuff. I get stuff that I just collect stuff basically out of books or magazines or things like that. I was looking at this. Nature heals the soul, but if I actually just cut that off and put nature heals, I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm trying to do too much. Is that what I'm doing, guys? Let's have just Sorry, I didn't think this far in the process. Wonder whether nature is just the word I need. Let's just try that. Bear with me a moment. Just have a little moment's indecision going on here. I feel it needs something. I'm just not sure exactly what it needs. So let's see if I can tear this. I'm not very good at tearing things this close to the edge because big fat fingers again. But I'm sure we'll be okay. Let's take that bit off there, and that bit off there. I think just the word nature might, I don't know, I might be over gilding the lily on that one, but we're going to put it on anyway, because you know what, if I don't like it, I can always cover it up with something else later. So sorry if my reach and my arm was in your way then. So let's just make this a bit grungier. I'm sure I'm going to hear in the comments of, Ceri, that was the wrong decision. Or someone's going to go, Ceri, that was a brilliant finishing touch. Let's hope for the latter, shall we? So I think I just want that there. Or do I want it over? No, I do want it back. This feels like it's very abandoned, but actually I'm okay with that. I need to stop. So, right, that was the quick journal card we made using those new pieces. Probably I need to trim that edge actually. I must have got that just slightly off. But those are those screw-headed brads. I used the little tiny ones for there. They fit perfectly through there to hold that in. The labels, these labels were from Tracy Fox. It's a digital on her Etsy store. If you look up Love Junk Journals or look up Tracy Fox, that's Tracie Fox on Etsy, you'll find her. She has lots of labels. Absolutely love her labels. This was from Visible Image, and this was from Gail Augustinelli, and those bits were from me. Maybe that's from Visible Image as well, I don't know. So that's really cute. The product, once again, this is the company name. It was just called Brad's or Attaché. I don't ask me, I don't speak that language. This is the company. That's the address. I got them on Amazon and I'm very, very, very excited to be using them. And there's 140 pieces in each of these. I bought 2 and I could possibly be buying more. So hopefully you enjoyed that, guys. Hopefully that was something quick, easy, maybe inspiring. I'd like to think so. So let's just wind this up with, this is where you find me. Ooh, I could put them on here, couldn't I? Oh, you see, I've got an idea now. So there you go. So that's where you find me. Hopefully you'll like, share, positive comments, subscribe, all of the above, or none of the above. But if you've watched this, enjoyed it, thank you very much. I'm Ceri, and I'm Ceri the Crafter. That's C-E-R-I the Crafter. Until next time, bye-bye now.